The bar under my apartment kept me up, so I blasted Jingle Bells until they shut early. I first saw the apartment on a drizzly Tuesday in late October. The estate agent, a woman named Brigitte, with a clipboard, and the enthusiasm of someone who had already made commission in her head, swung open the sash window. Has, and gestured grandly at the courtyard below. Look at that piece. She said not a soul in sight. She was not lying at 2 p.m. on a weekday. The courtyard was a rectangle of wet cobblestones, a couple of bikes chained to a railing and a single cafe table, under a striped awning the bar beneath my prospective bedroom was closed, its roll-down metal shutter painted matte black, a discreet brass plaque read Kelder Baroness 2011. I pictured cozy jazz nights, maybe a glass of red with the neighbours. I signed the lease before the ink on her pen had dried. The trouble began on my first Thursday. I had spent the acid day hauling IKEA flat packs up 3 flights of stairs, my calves screaming, my shirt glued to my back with sweat. By 10 p.m. I was horizontal, eyelids fluttering, when the floor beneath me began to pulse. Not a vibration, an actual heartbeat thump. Thump, thump, them voices, dozens of them, rising through the floorboards like steam. I sat up, confused. The clock read 22:17. I padded to the window. The courtyard had transformed. Strings of Edison bulbs, crisscrossed overhead heat lamps, glowed orange. Every table was occupied, and a makeshift stage, really just a plywood platform, had been wedged against the far wall. Chung. Woman in a sequined reindeer sweater was murdering Sweet Caroline while patrons banged pint glasses in rhythm. The bass line from the pay system rattled the window pane in its frame. I checked the lease addendum. Brigitte had emailed noise curfew. 24:00. Through Saturday midnight it was. Now. Here near midnight I closed the window, stuffed tissue in my ears, and tried to sleep. The tissue turned to mush. The bass migrated into my molars at 12:43. I gave up brewed coffee and doom-scrolled property listings until the music finally coughed itself out. At 2:12 a.m, welcome to Vesterbrogade. 30. 4 freelance graphic designer, recent divorce. The divorce was amicable paperwork signed over takeaway sushi, but it left me with a duffel bag of clothes, a monitor the size of a small billboard, and a horror of shared walls. I had chosen this flat precisely because the building was pre-war thick brick, supposedly soundproof. The joke was on me. Friday night was worse. The bar Kelder Baron, I learnt from their neon sign, had themed the evening. 90s guilty pleasures. Every song was a war crime against melody. At 1:30 a.m. a man with a goatee attempted Barbie Girl in falsetto. My pillow vibrated. I lay on the living room floor. Hunting for a quiet square meter that did not exist. At 3 a.m. I stood at the window in boxers and mismatched socks, watching the crowd thin. A couple was arguing beneath my window in drunken Swedish. Their voices carried perfectly. I considered mooning them. Instead, I took a photo of the time-stamped scene and emailed it to the city's noise complaint portal. The auto-reply promised a response within 10 business days. Saturday, I worked from a co-working space in Osterbro, mainlining espresso and noise-cancelling headphones. I returned at 8 p.m. to find the courtyard already packed. Tonight's theme karaoke calypso. A banner advertised 50 kr shots, and no song too sacred. I lasted until 11 p.m. before the inevitable bass kicked in. This time I marched downstairs in slippers, armed with righteous fury and a printout of municipal ordinance. 7.3b amplified music in residential zones. The bouncer, a mountain in a puffer jacket, looked at my slippers, looked at the ordinance, and shrugged. Talked to Mikkel. Inside the air was a humid cocktail of sweat, citrus IPA, and desperation. I found Mikkel behind the barman. Bun impeccable, pouring aquavit into plastic cups shaped like elf boots. I waved the ordinance. He flashed a PR smile calibrated for Instagram buddy. We are within limits, decibel meters right there. He pointed to a blinking box on the wall that read 87 dB, comfortably under the 100 dB outdoor allowance. Come back with a cop if you want. He turned to the next customer. I stood there, ordnance fluttering like a white flag, while someone launched into my heart. We'll go on flat enough to park a bike on upstairs. Hey Lee. Paced the rational part of my brain, the part that had negotiated custody of the Nespresso machine. New escalation. Was childish. The sleep-deprived primate sharing my skull wanted blood. I opened the fridge, stared at leftover falafel, and had an epiphany born of exhaustion and cheap hummus years earlier. Rise. Tatmas in Jutland, my niece and nephew had begged me to record a cool version of Jingle Bells for their school talent show. I had been deep into a phase of listening to Slayer while drinking glog, the result a 3-minute and 12-second monstrosity sleigh bells, recorded by shaking a tambourine full of Screw's vocals. Run. Through a distortion pedal and a breakdown where I screamed dashing through the snow, like a man possessed the kids. Loved it their teacher, banned it. I still had the master file. I dug out my ancient hi-fi speakers, ceramic monsters I had inherited from my dad, and never had the heart to sell each weighed more than a toddler I am. Use. Pled them onto the bedroom windowsill, aimed the tweeters downward like artillery. I plugged my laptop into the auxiliary port, opened Audacity, and set the track to loop gain at 100 EQ, boosted in the 24K HD range. Right where human annoyance lies, I hovered the cursor. Overplay and hesitated. This was the nuclear option. Once deployed, there was no pretending I was the reasonable one at 1:47 a.m. The bar hit peak frenzy. Someone was attempting Bohemian Rhapsody with a kazoo solo. I pressed play, the opening crash sleigh bells, on steroids, exploded into the courtyard, like a flashbang conversation. Stopped mid-sentence, the zoo squeaked into silence, my windows rattled so hard. I worried about cracks down below heads, swiveled upward. I saw Mickle's man bun whip around. I cranked the volume 2 more notches. The guitar riff snarled my distorted baritone. Roared Jingle Bells, Batman. Smells, wait, no, I had forgotten the kids, had insisted on the parody lyrics. Robin laid an egg. Lights flicked on in apartments across the courtyard curtains. Parted faces appeared, some amused, some apoplectic. Mrs. Nielsen from 3B, who once left a passive-aggressive note about my recycling habits, leaned out in a hairnet, and gave me a thumbs up. I looped the track again, the second playthrough. Try. Gegged feedback from the bar's power. Someone had left a mic too close to a speaker. A piercing squeal made half the crowd clap hands, to ears at 1:55. My doorbell buzzed like an angry hornet. I ignored it, the buzzing became pounding. I opened the door to Mickle, flanked by Puffer Jacket, and a woman in a sequined Santa hat who I assumed was the karaoke host. Mickle's face had progressed from smug to puce. Turn it off. He enunciated like I was hard of hearing, close at midnight, like the ordinance says, and we have a license until 4 a.m. on weekends, indoor license, outdoor amplification. C. Curfew is midnight, section 73B subsection. I started reciting from memory. He cut me off. You are disturbing 50 paying customers, and you are disturbing 30 sleeping residents. Math was never my strong suit. But I think we win. Santa Hat Lady tried Sweet Reason. It's almost Christmas, can't we all just? Christmas starts the 1st of December. I said it's the 14th of November. You are culturally appropriating my weapon. I closed the door, the pounding resumed. I turned the volume up until the speakers hissed. By the third loop, the courtyard was a diorama of chaos. Patrons filmed on phones. Someone started a slow clap to the beat. Mrs. Nielsen had dragged a kitchen chat to her window and was conducting with a wooden spoon. A guy in a reindeer onesie attempted to crowd surf and face planted into a heat lamp. Mickle disappeared inside, presumably. To call the authorities, I poured myself a Victory Aquavit and waited at 2032. Police officers arrived, Officer Larson and Officer Knudsen, according to their nameplates. Larson was tall, humorless. Knudsen looked like he would rather be anywhere else. They knocked politely. I opened the door. Mid-chorus, Larson winced. So we have had complaints from the bar. I asked innocently. From the bar, from residents, from Uber drivers circling the block. He well, alas, glanced at my speakers. That's quite a setup. I handed him the ordinance printout. Now dog-eared, they are in violation. I'm simply providing a countermeasure. Knudsen peered past me into the bedroom. Is that the original 1978 Bang Olufsen Beovox? My dad had those. We bonded briefly over vintage audio. Larson cleared his throat. Technically, you are both in breach, but the bar's outdoor permit expired last month. Mikkel knows it. We will shut the music down. You shut yours down. Deal. I considered define. Shut down lights. Out patrons gone by 2:30. I extended a hand. 2:20. And I will throw in glog. Larson Almost smiled, 225 final offer. We shook. I killed my track. Silence rushed in like cool water downstairs. Larson had a quiet word with Mikkel. The par died mid-Galileo chairs. Scraped. The crowd dispersed with the sullen gait of teenagers, leaving a house party by 2:23. The courtyard was empty, except for overturned elf C. Up. And a single lost mitten at 2:25. The roll shutter clanged down. I closed my window, unplugged the speakers, and slept for 10 hours straight. Sunday morning, I woke to birdsong, actual birds. Not the electronic kind. My phone buzzed with messages. Mrs. Nielsen had started a building WhatsApp group, titled Courtyard Liberation. Front. Someone posted a grainy video of Mikkel's face during the kazoo solo. The clip already had 200 views on TikTok, overlaid with the caption, "When you play Christmas music in November and the Danes riot at 11 a.m. a note slid under my door, written in Sharpie on the back of a coaster. Elias, we close at 23. Oh. Friday, Saturday. From now on, outdoor heaters off at 22:30. No more karaoke after 23:30 in exchange. No more heavy metal Christmas. Please, Mikkel and the 49 other people who now have nightmares about sleigh bells." I taped it next to my monitor. That evening, I walked downstairs at 8 p.m. not to complain. Test. The truce. The courtyard was half full, volume conversational. A trio played acoustic covers of Danish folk songs. Mikkel spotted me, hesitated, then slid a beer across the bar on the house. Call it a peace glog. I accepted. "You know this means I have weaponized Christmas," he groaned. "My therapist is booking extra seers." Ions. We clinked glasses somewhere above us. Mrs. Nielsen's spoon tapped approval against her windowsill. The bass stayed in its cage. And for the first time since moving in, I heard the church bells on Sunday morning. Without wanting to strangle them. A week later, the bar hung a new chalkboard signed "Jingle Free Zone" by popular demand underneath in smaller letter. "Elias gets free aquavit on Thursdays." I still have the original audio file. I renamed it Courtyard WMA and backed it up to 3 separate clouds. You know, just in case.